All right, I'm
Oh,
starting up.
yeah.
And whenever you're ready, Chair.
Okay, welcome everyone and welcome our council members our commissioner to today's LCCR meeting. Is our fourth day and the final day. So we're now call to order LCCR committee for Friday, June 27th, 2025. It's now 8:30. And we have about 21 projects. Hopefully, I think we should be able to get it done on time. And so we'll begin with roll call right now. So Diana,
Albrecht,
Albright present.
Albrecht present.
her present.
Per present. Jordan,
Jordan present from the Capitol.
Jordan present from the Capitol. Beeman,
Beeman present.
Beeman present. Faber is excused. Fisher,
Fisher present.
Fisher present. Green,
Here.
Green present. Hedstrom,
Hedstrom present.
Hedstrom present. Langseth. Or I'm sorry, Heinzman,
Heitzman present.
Heinzman present. Langseth,
Langseth present.
Langseth present. Lilly,
Lily present.
Lilly present. McEwen is excused. Moore,
Moore is present.
Moore present. Putnam,
Present.
Putnam present. Reese,
Reese is excused.
Reese is excused. Scraba is excused. Westrom. Currently, there are 12 members present.
Okay, it appears we have quorum, and just also want to state, Representative Jordan just remind that part that we are at the Capitol. So I am at the Capitol, and she has been chairing well for the last 2 days. So I trying to mimic her pace here, going as efficient as I can. I want to pass this moment to Becca to give us an overview of the day.
Good morning, members. I'm going to give an abbreviated overview today. So we have presentations scheduled from 8:30 until noon. All the presentations today are from category G, small projects, so they will all be 10 minutes. 5 minutes for presentation and 5 minutes for Q&A, although the chair can use their discretion to go over this time allowance, especially for, actually, we don't have any large projects today, so the chair can just use their discretion. And members should use your Zoom function to raise your hands if you have questions, and the chair will take questions in the order received. For each presentation, the chair will announce the category, proposal number, proposal title, and the line number on your evaluation 2 form. However, if everything goes smoothly and as planned today, the presentations do actually go in the order that you see them on your evaluation form. And we did not receive any requests for public testimony today. That's it.
Anything else, Director Nash? Oh, good. Well, thank you, Director Nash, and any report of conflict interest from members regarding today's business. If there is, raise your hand. I see hands from member Hedstrom.
Good morning. I have conflicts with project 255, 318, and 465. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Anyone else? Okay, let's go ahead with our presentation here. We want to pace ourselves. Today is also a day to pay respect to our one of our legislative colleague and her husband, and also their pet Gilbert as well. So we want to get this moving along and get done before that begin. So I want to call the first presenter over, and I'm going to go according to this order of calling them. I'll call them by category, proposal ID, and proposal title, and the line number on your grid here. And then I may call their name, but just for presentation, just for presenter, please state your name as well in case my pronunciation is not precise to how you say your name. So first here, I'll be calling on category sub A, resiliency. This is proposal ID 2026 528. Monoman Emerald Ash Borers Preparation Project from the city of Monoman. And this is evaluation to line number 106. I'd like to call Taylor Goodman. So please also restate your name and welcome. You will have 5 minutes present and 5 minutes for Q&A.
Good, we'll take it away. Good morning, Mr. Chair and committee members. I am Taylor Gunther, City Administrator of Monoman, here with Crystal Ramahaji from U of M Extension's Regional Sustainable Development Partnerships. We are honored to present a proposal today, Prepare Monoman for the Emerald Ash Borer. Monoman is a low-income community located in northwest Minnesota. The city serves as the county seat of Monoman County and is the largest tribal community on the White Earth Reservation. The city, county, and tribe both face significant economic challenges with median household income and per capita income substantially lower than the state average. Monoman County also ranked last among Minnesota's 87 counties for percentage of residents living below the poverty line, and last on health incomes and health disparities, such as length and quality of life. 30.9% of Monoman County residents are under the age of 18, also compared to Minnesota's state average of 22.7%. So that really highlights our significant youth population in Monoman and Monoman County. Due to the lower tax capacity, additional funding like this is critical to support our necessary projects, such as the ash removal and tree replacement.
Segueing from Taylor's introduction, I want to stress that taking care of our local ecosystems also enhances the well-being of people. According to Ulmer et al., neighborhood tree cover is related to better overall health, primarily through lower obesity rates, better social cohesion, and to a lesser extent through less type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, and asthma. Another study by Kondo et al. Conducted in Philadelphia estimates that a 5% increase in tree cover could reduce citywide deaths by 302, and up to a 30% increase in cover could avert 403 deaths. In the face of health and economic disparities that already exist in Monoman, there may be some public health benefits by increasing and diversifying the urban canopy. Unfortunately, Monoman's canopy is vulnerable in its current state. Ash trees comprise 66% of Monoman's public trees. Monoman is in a situation that could be hazardous for residents and property in an unmanaged infestation. Many ash trees are already in marginal health, and they could be brittle and hazardous if EAB were to infest their urban canopy and cause massive die-off in a short period of time. Funding is critical and urgent to the community with the proximity of other EAB infestations in Moorhead, Dilworth, and Reamer townships. Just days ago, there were announcements of EAB newly confirmed in Deer Creek and Wadena, which are only about 54 miles away from Monoman. With the proximity to these known infestations and the black ash swamps in northern Minnesota, Monoman stands in a unique position to help slow the spread of EAB to this sensitive ecological area in Minnesota. Black ash is culturally significant to the Ojibwe and the Anishinaabe for making baskets and tools. By removing and replacing a majority of Monoman's ash trees, Monoman can diversify its tree canopy and make it resilient against this and other future threats. From the map that you can see, what we can do in Monoman is to help slow the spread of EAB and to target the most unhealthy and marginal ash trees first for removal and diversify the urban forest. Indicated here, 106 of the ash trees in Monoman are deemed marginally healthy or unhealthy, and distressed trees are most susceptible to EAB. This plan with these requested dollars would help the city of Monoman remove about 43 larger and more challenging trees that are moderate or unhealthy. Contractor assistance is needed due to the small public works crew of 3 serving the city, as well as the small boom truck that the city owns. We're assuming at least 14 of the smaller unhealthy trees can be handled by the crew. That is 57 total for removals, and the city crew will seek out other manageable trees that they can remove with their current equipment and staff. 63 trees can be planted with this funding. Most of these are boulevard trees, and 6 are fruit trees to be put in River Park to help increase food access and resiliency for the community, which is a food desert. Tree species have been selected for replacement to enhance ecological functions for the city, as well as for tolerance to the challenging boulevard environment and adaptability for a changing climate. Northwest RSDP plans to continue offering technical assistance to the community in preparing for EAB and enhancing their urban forest. We intend to share these lessons learned and assistance with other communities as well. Monoman has received funding from Northwest Regional Sustainable Development Partnerships to assist in conducting outreach with residents on tree replacement choices for removed ash trees on boulevards and to conduct outreach for residents to prepare for EAB on their private properties. While walking around the city streets collecting data for this assessment, observing families going on walks around the block and to the park, my drive to help Monoman has only intensified. Not only could this funding benefit pollinators, birds, and mitigate against climate change, but the residents and families of Monoman could reap benefits for generations to come through a resilient and lush urban forest for them to grow, live, and thrive in. Thank you.
Okay, any questions to the 2 testifier or presenter here? Okay, I see Commissioner Hestrom.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Ms. Gunther and Ms. Ramaji, for your presentation. I appreciate the proactive approach you've outlined. I know it's a big issue that we're dealing with, and especially with what's been going on here with all the trees down, it's going to be a bigger issue in the future. In your proposal, you mentioned food insecurity and possible planting of fruit trees. And I'm just wondering if you've reached out to the local tribal college or the local tribal government as far as their food sovereignty program.
Presenter?
Yes, they actually reached out to us, and that would be a great partnership moving forward. And we located the River Park to be a place for such plantings.
Great, thank you.
Any other question? Well, thank you both for coming to present the Monoman EAB preparation project here. So good luck.
Appreciate your time.
Thank you. Thank
Take
you
care.
all.
Okay, so next is the also another small project, but will be redundant, so I won't be mentioning small project further. But is the subcategory of water. This is the statewide risk estimate for contaminant of emerging concern by University of Thomas, and this is the evaluation line number 107. Presenter is Dr. Dama Widget, and do state your name for the record as well.
It's Dr.
Welcome.
Dalma Martinovic Weigelt.
Welcome, Doctor. Go ahead with your presentation.
Mr. Chair and Commission members, thank you so much for considering this proposal. Over the last 2 decades, Minnesota has funded efforts that generated data on the concentrations and distribution of the contaminants of emerging concern for over 100 of the lakes and rivers. Tribal, federal, and academic efforts have also contributed additional data for Minnesota. I'm pleased to say that this is the most comprehensive contaminants of emerging concern dataset in North America. However, the full utilization of this exceptionally rich chemistry dataset is limited because it has not been integrated with toxicity data, so your biological effects data. These comparisons of the chemical concentrations in water with the concentrations that cause toxicities are absolutely essential for identifying chemicals that impair water quality and for identifying types of ecological risks we should worry about. So that is what our team is proposing to do. You may ask, why do this work now? We have done, surveillance of chemicals for over 2 decades. Well, there are 2 main reasons. First, due to the major technological breakthroughs that scientists have recently made, there great strides have been made in generating new toxicity data rapidly and making it accessible through toxicity databases. These toxicity data did not exist until a couple of years ago. Thus, we really find ourselves at an opportune moment to make full use of or add value to the existing Minnesota chemical monitoring data. Second, I'm sorry to say, but some of the key people who led this work in early 2000s have passed away. Many are retiring. So we are trying to prevent the loss of the informal collective community knowledge about whereabouts and the nature of this data. As you know, in the early 2000s, we did not have the habit or capacity of storing data in a durable way. So some of these really valuable chemistry data generated by non-state entities in particular are stored in a variety of places, formats, some of which are very hard to locate and access. In summary, we are going to locate and compile CEC occurrence data for Minnesota collected over the past 25 years. We're going to identify and extract relevant, new, high-quality toxicity data and integrate it with the chemistry data to determine risks of these chemicals to Minnesota aquatic life. Lastly, we are going to design and launch an online map dashboard that allows citizens and natural resource managers to easily visualize and understand the ecological risks. Our team is uniquely qualified to complete this work because we have been a part of this effort from the beginning and because we have contributed to the development of new computational tools for analyzing large, complex data sets like this one. Proposed work will add value to the past state-funded monitoring efforts and allow for the chemical prioritization and development of conservation and mitigation strategies for Minnesota waters. Thank you for your attention. I'm looking forward to your comments and to answering questions that you might have.
Okay, any question for the doctor? Looks like there's no question. So, Doctor, thank you very much for your presentation, and our committee will give evaluation to it. So,
thank you, Mr. Chair and Commission members.
Thank you very much. Next is let's see, item number 3 on our grid here is the proposal ID 84, enhancing integrity of Minnesota's waterway bioassessment. And this is evaluation line 108. I'll just let all the presenter say their name. So if you're there, do come forward.
Yeah, I'm Dr. Matt Peterson. I'm at the University of Minnesota in the College of Food, Agriculture, and Natural Sciences. Thank you, committee chairperson and committee members, for allowing me to present today. In 2024, the Minnesota Impaired Waters List included over 6,000 impairments across nearly 3,000 bodies of water. Impaired waters are defined as those that fail to meet water quality standards for their designated uses, and impairment detection can be measured in many different ways, such as point measurements of bacterial levels or measurements of excess contaminants, or by the animals that actually live in these systems. Overall, aquatic impairments diminish the capacity of the systems to support recreational activities and decrease the system's health. Today, I'd like to talk to you about my proposal, which seeks to expand and enhance our current tool for the assessment of aquatic impairments in Minnesota. And this is the use of aquatic macroinvertebrates in assessing systems such as streams and rivers for biotic integrity. And what we're trying to do is implement a modern approach for specimen identification that can really help make these bioassessments more streamlined. As a background, aquatic macroinvertebrates are insects and invertebrates that spend part or all of their life cycles in aquatic environments. And while point measurements can detect impairments at the point of collection, sampling macroinvertebrates from these systems allows impairment at points of collection to be assessed the long-term health of the system. That's because the presence or absence of particular groups of insects within aquatic ecosystems is determined by the capacity of that system to support the ecological tolerances of the insects. Ecological tolerances can mean things like water temperature, water clarity, dissolved oxygen, or the presence of pollutants. Some groups of insects are known to be highly sensitive to the stressors in the water, things like caddisflies or mayflies. And if conditions are poor over long periods of time, these insects will just be absent from the system. Similarly, other insects thrive in degraded environments, and they can indicate impaired water quality due to just their presence of being there. Counts of macroinvertebrates are then used to compute indices of biotic integrity, and this type of metric is currently employed by the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency to assess waterway impairment. However, there are several shortcomings to the system. First, aquatic insects are identified using morphology, meaning damaged specimens cannot be used, and really the techniques needed to identify specimens can be difficult to learn. Second, macroinvertebrates are largely immature when they're in their aquatic phase, and this makes identifying them based on morphology extremely difficult. And oftentimes you can only get a very coarse identification based on that immature stage. For example, the most diverse group of aquatic stream insects is a family of flies called the non-biting midges, which are also very difficult to identify as species based on morphology alone, particularly as immatures. So there can be over 100 species of these types of midges found in a single Minnesota stream. But in a bioassessment study, you would have to average all the tolerances for those species down to 12 genera because we can't identify those as species. And additionally, rare species may be missed in morphological assessments. So species detection and greater resolution biotic assessment can be enhanced with a DNA-based identification tool that allows us to use DNA to get species identity. Briefly, DNA is extracted from samples of insects, amplified, read, and then you will return a full list of organisms that are present in the sample. This approach can identify species identity in the insect's immature or adult stage. So the goal of our work is to develop a DNA-based aquatic monitoring tool that will reduce processing times and costs, identify species that are otherwise missed in traditional assessments, and return greater resolution for biotic assessments. Our main activity will compare a biotic assessment conducted using standard morphological-based approaches and compare that against a DNA-based approach. And all samples will be collected using the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency methodology. The goals of the activity will then be to assess the degree to which DNA-based approaches increase species identification potential and determine if the sample communities using the two approaches are compatible. Comparisons will then be determined by calculating standard indices of biotic integrity, and these are the ones used by the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency. We'll then test a hypothesis that increased taxonomic resolution will increase accuracy in biotic assessment and more readily detect variation in water quality. We anticipate a higher degree of specificity in specimen identification will lead to a greater potential to assess water quality. This work has a focus on midges that I mentioned before, as they're an ideal group that are largely diverse, environmentally sensitive, but currently highly underutilized in this sort of practice. Importantly, our DNA approach relies on reference libraries of databases that have known sequences, so we will have to develop those and able to make this work. Overall, our work will test a new system for determining aquatic system impairment, to determine species-level tolerance values to pollution that can be used in a new tool, and offer insight into aquatic macroinvertebrates and water quality assessment that can be used by the state. So we believe that this new tool will then be able to enhance our ability to detect water impairments across the state. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Any question from members? Okay, thank you, Dr. Pearson, for your presentation.
Thank you so much.
We'll go to the next item here on our list. Let's see, project proposal ID 486, mitigation shortchange forever chemical for PFAS-free Minnesota. So this line evaluation line number 109. Want to call Professor Bergman and do state your name for the record.
And thank you for considering this proposal. My name is Peter. Okay, are you hearing me?
We hear you, but we don't see you yet. Can you
Okay.
turn on your camera?
Okay. My camera is on.
I believe we can see the professor, but for some reason maybe he just needs to speak a little more loudly and then the Zoom will notice that he's speaking and highlight him.
Yes, Professor, to maybe move closer to your laptop or whatever audio means you use.
Okay, I'm sorry, somehow it's working. Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. Sorry for the glitch. So my name is Peter Brueggemann, and I'm a faculty member and plasma engineer from the College of Science and Engineering at the University of Minnesota. So we propose to address the remediation of short-chain PFAS that are irreversibly accumulating in our water streams and are inadequately removed by currently implemented mitigation processes. So I think, as many of you know, per and polyfluoroalkyl substances, PFAS, often also referred to as forever chemicals, because they are actually chemicals that have been in use worldwide since the 40s in many industrial and household products. Contamination of water streams with these PFAS are a global concern, as there is no mechanism in nature to degrade them, and they accumulate in the Minnesota water streams at concentrations sufficient to harmfully impact human health and also the ecological environment. Many of reported PFAS of concern, such as PFOA or PFOS, these are long-chain molecules with 8 or more carbon atoms, have surfactant properties, and they tend to aggregate on surfaces. And this property allows them to be effectively removed from water streams with adsorbent materials or membrane filtration technologies. Some of you might actually have some of these technologies at home. Your commission has also supported technology and process developments in the past that can degrade long-chain PFAS. Successful processes effective against long-chain PFAS often also result in short-chain PFAS. Now, short-chain PFAS, typically 6 carbon atoms or less, do not really aggregate on surfaces, are not so easy to separate from water streams as their long-chain equivalents, for example, by using filters, and are typically even more stable than long-chain PFAS. In short, they are exceedingly difficult to treat, even with advanced treatment technologies that are effective against long-chain PFAS. So short-chain PFAS are recently found to be irreversibly accumulating in water streams at concentrations that actually can be an order of magnitude higher than PFOA, which is the most reported and also EPA-regulated PFAS molecule. An example of such, and it's actually the smallest PFAS available, is trifluoroacetic acid, which we call in short TFA. And it's nearly indestructible molecule, and it finds its origin in, for example, PFAS-containing pesticides. TFOA is attributed with reproductive toxicity and is by some researchers identified as a, quote, a Norwegian environmental chemist, a planetary boundary threat with potential irreversible disruptive impacts on vital Earth system processes. So the project aims to develop a new reactor technology combining liquid films and plasma. And the liquid films allow us to have a high surface to volume ratio so that short-chain PFAS can easily or more easily be transported to the surface where they can be decomposed and mineralized into harmless products. And we do this at the surface with plasma. If increased performance is needed, we will also can enhance the transport by adding to these short-chain PFAS electrostatically binding cationic surfactants. And this works because many of these PFAS are negatively charged. Our team has obtained preliminary results in the framework of a project funded by the National Science Foundation, the NSF, that plasma or the technology we propose can effectively decompose PFBS, which is one of these short-chain PFAS containing 4 carbon atoms in such a reactor geometry. This is at a very small scale, and we really hope to leverage or gained insights from this NSF project together with your support to demonstrate the technology. What we specifically will do is assess the proposed approach for a broad range of these short-chain PFAS. We would like to scale up the technology to a prototype reactor where we can demonstrate the efficacy of this process and also optimize the system. And I think really important also is the assessment that there are no toxic decomposition products remaining, which is sometimes an issue in these treatments. Thank you very much for your time, and I would, of course, be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Any question for the professor? Okay. Well, thank you, Professor, for your presentation and
thank you very much.
Your work on getting PFAS-free Minnesota. So we'll give some consideration to your project as well. So have a wonderful day. Next is the proposal ID number 2, CMSM 2026 proposal from Children's Museum of Southern Minnesota. Evaluation line number 101, and do come forth and state your name for the record.
Good morning. Thank you, commissioners, for the opportunity to speak with you today. My name is Crystal Olson with the Children's Museum of Southern Minnesota. Joining me today is Louise Dickmeyer, the Children's Museum of Southern Minnesota's CEO. We are here representing the Greater Minnesota Children's Museum Coalition, a network of 12 children's museums across the state committed to providing high-quality, hands-on learning experiences for children. Annually, the coalition serves about 500,000 children and their families across the state. The image behind us illustrates our 12 locations throughout Minnesota. We are here today because we see an opportunity to address a growing gap in early environmental education, one that affects both the well-being of our children and the long-term preservation of Minnesota's natural resources. Today's children spend more time in front of screens than ever before. They're growing up in increasingly urban settings with fewer opportunities to explore the outdoors or engage meaningfully with nature. For many families, especially those in underserved communities, access to safe, engaging outdoor spaces or environmental education simply isn't available. When children aren't exposed to nature early on, they miss out on learning about ecosystems, natural resources, conservation, and sustainability, all of which are critical to developing lifelong habits of environmental stewardship. We also know that environmental education is not equitably available across the state. Families in lower income communities often face barriers. As a result, many young Minnesotans miss out on these essential experiences. Our coalition is responding to this challenge with a coordinated statewide solution. We are seeking support to develop a shared, high-quality, early childhood environmental curriculum that will be implemented across all 12 coalition museums throughout Minnesota. This curriculum will be developed by educators collaborating with subject matter experts, and it will be interactive, hands-on, and aligned with Minnesota's state science standards. It will help children understand Minnesota's ecosystems, the importance of natural resource conservation, and what it means to be a good steward of the land. This initiative is not starting from scratch. We've already identified more than 12 existing nature-based programs currently offered by coalition museums, including programming on pollinators, pollution, and the water cycle. We plan to build on this strong foundation, enhancing it, aligning it across the network, and ensuring it reaches children no matter where they live. By working together and pooling our resources, we can deliver consistent, high-impact environmental learning experiences to children who might otherwise be left out. This is more than simply learning about nature. It fosters curiosity, empathy, and responsibility. When children learn to care about the world around them from a young age, they carry that care into adulthood. They become informed citizens, thoughtful decision makers, and active participants in conservation efforts. We recognize that equity must be central to this effort. Coalition museums already offer free and reduced memberships and other resources to remove access barriers, ensuring these opportunities are accessible to all. The ultimate outcome is a generation of Minnesotans who understands our ecosystems, value our natural resources, and take seriously the responsibility of protecting them. By educating children early and making that education truly accessible, we support the long-term protection, preservation, and enhancement of Minnesota's natural environment. Environmental literacy starts in childhood. The way children play today shapes the adults they become tomorrow. With your support, we can ensure that every child in Minnesota, regardless of their zip code or background, has the opportunity to connect with nature, understand its value, and grow up ready to protect it. Thank you for your time and consideration. We are happy to answer any questions.
Okay, I see Senator Green.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. To the testifier, do you have any examples of what you think you might be teaching or what you've taught in the past? Because I don't really see anything here on that. Tell me what you you have a broad explanation of what you might want to do, but I don't see any curriculum. So, and I don't expect you to have that with you today, but if you could get it to me soon before we make an evaluation on this, I'd appreciate that.
So we can certainly do that, provide you that information. I can also share from our standpoint within our museum here in Mankato, the Children's Museum of Southern Minnesota. We do a lot with pollinator programming. We are right now actively raising monarchs, and we are a monarch way station. We have programming that runs from May through September. We have a tagging event in September. We do this on an annual basis. So that's one example of a program that the Mankato Museum will be offering. And then otherwise, yes, we will send you a list of all of the curriculum. There are 20 programs.
Okay, thank you. And can you state your name for the record as well?
Louise Dickmeyer, CEO.
Okay, thank you. We only see one person most of the time, but you pop up every now and then. I see a hand from Chair Albright. Chair Albright.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I see in your project too, Senator Green's question, and I agree that the narrative within the application doesn't necessarily call out your curriculum, but I see you have an attachment that has your, about, I don't know, 15 or more nature-based programs that you talked about in your presentation, including the chomp and chain. I'm wondering what the chomp and chain is, and also musical muscles, how that might be incorporated into a curriculum.
Those are programming from our coalition members. So off the top of my head, I do not have the exact details on that. That's just a testament to the collaboration of this project, that there are several children's museums involved and we all bring our own programming. And that's the overarching goal, is that we'll bring that programming together and then distribute it to all of us so we can all access that educational experiences.
Thank you. And one more follow-up. I know that you're talking about early childhood education, but this is adaptable to up to age 10, I think is what it says in your proposal. Is that correct?
Correct. Yep.
Thank you.
And Ms. Olson and your director, if you can also submit those material to us before 4 p.m. today, and our director Nash can share with the members.
Absolutely.
I have if there's, want to see if there are other question. If there are no other question, I do have a question on my own. Being that I'm also a chair of Legacy, are you aware of the Legacy appropriation for Children's Museum, and have you applied or received grant from that before?
Let me speak to that.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, this is Louise Dickmeyer again. We do make use of those legacy funds for our exhibits, both new exhibits as well as exhibit enhancements. So yes, we are very familiar and very grateful for those legacy funds, and we will plan to apply for the next grant as well. We do this on a regular basis, every biennium. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Any other question out there? Okay, sounds good. Well, thank you for your presentation, and just want to remind you to send material over to us before 4.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay, next on our agenda here is proposal ID number 13, native fish exhibit transforming aquatic education in Minnesota. And this is evaluation line 111. So I'd like to call presenter come forward and state your name for the record. See.
My name is Lee Furseth, Headwater Science Center.
Go ahead with your presentation.
First of all, I'd like to say thank you to all the legislators. Good morning. My name is Lee Furseth. I'm the Executive Director of the Headwater Science Center. We're located in Bemidji, Minnesota. Thank you for listening to the presentation today. Let me answer some of the questions you may be wondering. Bemidji is often called the first city, a testament to our unique location as the first city on the mighty Mississippi. While many towns boast lakes, Bemidji has 2, connected by the Mississippi River that flows from Lake Itasca for about 50 miles, both north and east, and arriving in Bemidji. Understanding the impacts we humans have on water is critical. Freshwater aquatic biology is truly what we do. Our project centers around a 1,700-gallon centerpiece tank prominently located in our lobby. This isn't just an exhibit. This is meant to be a freebie experience for everybody. We're building on the success of our current 100-gallon Trout in the Classroom program, a 5-year partnership that we have with the DNR. We have released hundreds and hundreds of trout fingerlings into the Clearwater River. This new larger tank will expand on that, allowing more schools and tourists and the locals to experience the Headwater Science Center. We greatly admire the Science Museum of Minnesota's mission to bring science to all of Minnesota. Their biggest challenge? Distance. That is precisely where we come in. The Headwater Science Center serves a 30,000 square mile area of northern Minnesota, from St. Cloud to Winnipeg. Our van can be seen constantly going back and forth up and down Highway number 2, connecting schools and communities and organizations across our vast region. Northern Minnesota residents often find the Twin Cities just too far to travel to on frequent visits. We are that vital source for science right here in the north. So we're excited about that strong relationship that we've developed with the Freshwater Society and with the Science Museum of Minnesota, both who fully support this project. Our project can serve as a model for informal science for all of rural Minnesota. The HSC mission is science you can touch. While an aquarium might not seem touchable at first glance, it's actually the hands-on activities that will accompany it that will make all the difference. We offer classes in rod building, fly tying, filleting fish, water quality testing, fish necropsies, fish identification, and fish care. Regular tank maintenance, including water quality testing and habitat care, will be visibly incorporated, demonstrating the practical sense behind healthy aquatic environments. This exhibit is specifically designed to get kids outside. By showcasing aquatic life and the science behind it, we'll inspire them to go fishing, participate in capture and release programs, and foster a direct, responsible connection with Minnesota's aquatic resources. Our dedicated Trout Life Cycle display will extend the reach of our Trout in the Classroom program into a public, year-round, informal science showcase. We want to whet their appetite, that pun is intended, and generate a spark of curiosity that leads them to get out on the water. Imagine a kid feeding trout at HSC, then later fishing in the Turtle River Lake for fish that might have actually started their lives back here at HSC. Our project is entirely sustainable for us. We've been doing this for 30 years, albeit on a much smaller scale. Here's a breakdown of the project. We have quotes from Midwest Custom Aquariums of Starbuck, Minnesota for the tank, the freshwater filtration system, along with the delivery in the installation. We have estimates from EAPC Architectural Engineers of Bemidji, who provided us first the initial feasibility statement, and then provided us with quotes for their architectural design and for how we go about beefing up the wall in the floor. With the most recent disaster storm in Bemidji, we have identified an additional critical need for backup generator systems to protect this living exhibit during major power outages. And our dedicated educators and staff will handle the exhibits, demo production, and the ongoing maintenance. Our project, Freshwater Hands-On Opportunities. Let's inspire kids to get outdoors. Thanks for listening today, and I would love to answer your questions.
Okay, commissioners, any questions? Chair Albright.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thanks, Lee, for your presentation on the giant, to your place, aquarium. My husband and I were recently in Chicago, and we went to the Shed Aquarium in Chicago, which is like one of the most fantastic aquariums in the nation. And the number of children and families there just having an awesome time looking at fish and learning about fish was really an inspiration. And so I appreciate that you want to bring that kind of an experience to northern Minnesota, which, you know, as you mentioned, we don't have that kind of access in our community or in our region even. So I'm curious, you know, about what is the population you serve, and what do you expect for the number of people that might engage in this exhibit?
Thank you very much, Rita. Yeah, thank you very much for your question. And Rita, I want to tell you, thanks for dedicating time to this process, and I hope your house is absolutely fine.
It is, yes. We didn't get it. We had 30 some trees down, but none on our house or our shop.
I am very happy to hear that. So, to how many? Here's what we'd like to do with the actual aquarium. We want to slightly angle it so that a person on Beltrami Avenue walking past the Science Center could see the aquarium. It's 16 feet long, it's 3 feet wide, and it will be 5 feet tall, which does give the opportunity that the people on Beltrami Avenue could stop and see it even outside of hours. So how many thousands more people that will invite to take a look at the fish that are in the aquarium? I'm only guessing. But how many guests and visitors? Last year, we had 22,000 guests and visitors enter into the Science Center. We had another 8,000 kids as a part of a field trip. So if that's 30,000 over the next 10 years, you get to 300,000 people would view the aquarium. And then let's add, as you well know, kind of life comes to Beltrami Avenue after hours, and there will be people there. So with proper lighting, maybe that would be twice as many, or maybe even 3 times as many people would actually view this aquarium. Thanks for your question.
Just a follow-up comment, Mr. Chair. I know that whenever there's a county fair or even the state fair, the DNR's just, you know, their display of the fish and the native fish and the fish that people fish is always so exciting for people to see that, oh, that they can identify those northerns, those bluegills, those whatever they have fished for at home, and it's pretty exciting. So thanks for this presentation. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Any questions from commissioners? Okay, well, good. Thank you for your presentation, Mr. Forsyth.
Thank you very much.
Okay, next on our agenda is proposal ID number 39, and is the Riverbend Natural Centers Inclusive Entrepreneur Plan Implementation as evaluation line number 112. So if Mr. Bourne on line, do come forward and state your name for the record.
Hi, good morning, Chair Hura. My name is Brad Bourne. I'm the Executive Director of Riverbend Nature Center in Faribault, Minnesota. May I go ahead and start?
Go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator. The first thing, again, my name is Brad Bourne. I'm the Executive Director of Riverbend Nature Center in Faribault, Minnesota. The first thing before my presentation, I just wanted to say the hearts of everybody at Riverbend Nature Center is with members of the commission, especially those that are in legislative office right now. And thank you for continuing your work in this really tender time. We're thinking of all of you. Riverbend Nature Center is one of the most significant environmental education and learning centers in southern Minnesota. We were established in 1980 as the Faribault Regional Center, which was at the time the largest state hospital in Faribault was closing. Approximately 500 acres of state land that served as the hospital site were transferred to Riverbend Nature Center, to what would later become the most significant environmental learning center in the region. The state of Minnesota, when they transferred that land, there were a lot of scars left behind. There was medical waste from the hospital. There were cemeteries, many graves unmarked from folks that lived their lives at the regional center, and scars of trauma on the land. And the coalition of people that came together to start Riverbend Nature Center had spent the next several decades healing those scars and creating. There was a lot of opportunity. We created a amazing trail network. The land that is there is representative of almost every biome you would find in Minnesota. And we really focused on becoming and building a place of healing and environmental learning on a site that was historically associated with a lot of trauma. In doing a lot of that work and in cleaning up a lot of those scars that were left by the state, Riverbend focused on a lot of our natural resource restoration. But over the years, we have not had a lot of opportunity to invest in interpretive work. So as we've become one of the largest environmental education centers in the region, serving a very global community, a lot of our interpretive elements are lacking behind. And so we received a grant from the Minnesota Historical Society last year to bring on the 106 group to work with us on creating an inclusive interpretive plan that helps tell the very rich environmental and human history on our now 823 acres. And the plan that was developed, and there's quite a bit of details in the document, I won't go into every single one of them, but can stand for questions, basically breaks the Nature Center into 3 overall nodes, one telling the human history, one telling the natural history, and one recognizing and healing the trauma that has occurred on our land. We have put together a coalition of partners from the Minnesota Academies for the Deaf and Blind, many representatives from the Somali and Latinx communities in Faribault, some representatives from our Indigenous communities that all came together and helped build our interpretive plan to make sure that there was a voice for everyone in what people were learning and what our educational goals were connected to. So what this proposal is one of our first steps in implementation. And our interpretive plan is bold. This is one step. The work that is primarily funded through this are elements inside of our multiple elements inside of our interpretive center that will be designed so our 10,000 learners that come in through every year can see themselves reflected in nature. So multilingual displays, low sensory areas, comparing and contrasting nature spaces from their homes of origin to the nature spaces that they're finding themselves in Minnesota. I think I'm a little bit over my 5 minutes now, but I want to thank the commission for listening to our proposal. I'd be happy to stand for questions on the details of the proposal.
Mr. Bourne here is just right on time.
Oh, perfect. Thank you.
Representative Jordan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And thank you, Mr. Bourne, for your presentation. I've had the chance to go to Faribault, and it's a really unique community in Minnesota. And so I'm really glad you're working with our academies for the deaf, deafblind, and hard of hearing community. Those are students that are really underserved, and I think we forget about them, but it's also great to see just kind of the fabric of Faribault. It's a unique community in Minnesota. And so I'm really glad you're working on this. I think when we think about interpretation, you've really thought of all of the different ways we interpret a landscape. So I just want to commend you for this project. Thanks.
Thank you, Representative.
Okay, any other members? Well, thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Bourne, for your presentation. And we will consider evaluating your project.
Thank you, Senator, and thank you all for your work.
Thank you. Next is a project I'm intrigued in, being that my background is in the arts, and so fostering environment stewardship through arts. Project proposal 65 and line number 113. And thank you for the other all of our commissioners for bringing this to the presentation line. So go ahead, the presenter, can you state your name for the record?
Sure. Can you see me?
We hear you, but we haven't seen you yet.
Okay, I'm not sure why that's happening. Oh, hang on a second. I'm not sure what's happening. Would you like me just to start without the video?
You can, and unless you have any visual want to show us, perhaps you can go ahead with your presentation. And
I think I'll just go ahead if that's all right. Don't
Okay.
want to keep everyone. Thank you, Chair, and the committee members for this opportunity to present today. My name's Lori Forche-Dene. I'm the Executive Director of the Watermark Art Center in Bemidji. We're a nonprofit member-supported arts organization. Serving a 9-county region, it includes 3 tribal nations. Bemidji is located in the middle of 3 tribal nations. Watermark showcases artistic voices of rural Minnesota that intersect generational, socioeconomic, and cultural backgrounds, creating a unique place for the community to gather and connect. Located in rural Minnesota and in one of the poorest counties in the state, Watermark is cognizant of its responsibility to serve our community. And we offer free and low-cost events, activities, and education for greater access. 2 of the counties that are part of our artistic region Region 2 have the highest rates of population living below the poverty line in the state, with Monoman County as number 1 and Beltrami as number 2. And Watermark is located in Beltrami County. The project that we propose is to enhance the environmental education for underserved youth in northern Minnesota, fostering deeper connection to their environment through art-related experiences. This directly addresses the enhancement of public education, awareness, understanding necessary for the protection, conservation, restoration, and enhancement of air, land, water, forests, fish, wildlife, and other natural resources. We feel that by integrating diverse cultural perspectives and hands-on activities led by the Watermark through our Native artists, culture bearers, the artists that are scientists or environmental artists, and the Headwaters Science Center and Boys and Girls Club, we can instill environmental stewardship for young people, connecting them through the landscapes and cultural traditions in meaningful ways. So we are specifically seeking to address this issue of limited access to the environmental education through art in rural and tribal communities, thereby working to protect and preserve the natural resources and cultivating a sense of responsibility and appreciation for the next generation. This doesn't come to us unnaturally. The artists and culture bearers that we work with are the ones that keep the environment and natural resources in our constant programming. It's anywhere from our sessions through culture bearers, teaching traditional indigenous craft through birch bark. We've done reed mats, from the porcupine quills, from harvesting the quills to preparing the quills to using them for their work. We also work with environmentalists, artists who do, and naturalists who do forest walks, connecting people directly with it. The art education program director uses the pollinator gardens and the water retention pond that is around the building. We have 4 pollinator gardens and 1 is a large retention pond that we use for education, taking the kids out into that space. The problem we have right now is that's as far as we can really go. And we run into an issue with connecting with the rest of our region and connecting with those students with the same programming. A lot of the artists and the culture bearers that we work with live in these communities, and it's an opportunity to work with the Headwaters Science Center to get to these boys and girls clubs that are further afield and connect those artists that live there or bring them the artists that live with us in Bemidji. So this is an opportunity for us to kind of piggyback onto what the Headwaters is doing and add to taking the STEM programming and adding art, making it STEAM. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your presentation. Any question from members? Chair Albright.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Lori, for your presentation. I'm familiar with the Watermark Art Center here in Bemidji, and I know that you work really quite, have a very strong connection to Indigenous artists in the area and have lots of art installations. In fact, you have a dedicated gallery for Native art. And I know that you've done some of this programming in the past, and you mentioned coordinating with Headwaters Science Center. We just heard from Lee Fruseth from Headwaters Science Center, and just members, you may have forgotten that last year we recommended a project for the Headwaters Science Center that is going to connect the Science Center with the Boys and Girls Clubs on Native communities in the region. And what Lori is suggesting is that they are going to, that's a 3-year project. In the last 2 years, they are going to piggyback with the Science Center on their mobile science and make it mobile science and art. So you mentioned in your in the description of your project and also in some of your comments, you talked about Indigenous culture bearers. And my understanding of Indigenous culture bearers, and I apologize to those that are Indigenous folks on the commission for my limited knowledge here, and if I'd like to have you weigh in if you want to, but is that they help transmit those cultural practices and history of Native life and ways through storytelling and art and a lot of different things. So whether that's, sugar bushing or wild rice or birch bark or canoe making or any of those kinds of things, but also through art, as you mentioned, quill work and maybe things like Indigenous use of plants for dyeing materials and whatnot. Can you just share a little bit, Lori, about how you've used those traditional Indigenous culture bearers in projects that you've done in the past?
Yes, thank you, Committee Member Albright. We a lot of the cultural work that we do is through our Meekanon Gallery, and the Meekanon Gallery is as you mentioned, is a gallery space that's solely dedicated to Indigenous work, and we work with a lot of area artists. In 2023-24, we had gotten a grant from Region 2, or the Meekanon did, specific to kind of creating this series of activities that would be topically approached for 6 weeks, and then we'd bring something else in. And so we were looking at the materials like birch bark. How are Indigenous communities using birch bark? How are Scandinavian cultures using the birch bark? There's a lot of crossover or similarity in the use. And some of the other things that we did with that, it allowed us to connect with more Indigenous artists and culture bearers. And we often describe them as that because when people think about artists, they're thinking about contemporary Indigenous artists, but they are also the work that they're creating that is traditional to their culture, and is, as we would look from a Western perspective, is also art. So they are taking these natural materials, they're sharing with Native and non-Native people who participate in these workshops, their drop-ins, and people were really connecting and understanding the environment a little bit more than they had before. So use of materials, how to harvest them properly, when to harvest them, with the birch bark certain times of the year, then how you process these things. We did work with hide that was using traditional tools for and pigments, natural pigments, to make designs on leather pouches, knife scabbards, whatever they were making. And we would also do exhibits after this. So we're creating all this work. We're creating this work with artists and culture bearers who are bringing their knowledge to the table. And then at the end of these 6 weeks, there was multiple things. We did an exhibit showcasing the work by the leaders of the group, as well as the people who were participating. And so that way we could share it with people who were coming into the art center and have images showing the process, narrative kind of describing what was happening and what people were looking at. So it's a way for us to connect people to the natural environment through the work that's being created. And for us, again, I mentioned it comes to us naturally through our artists and culture bearers, because Indigenous people are very connected to the land, the work that they're doing. Everything that we do with them has that somehow in a component of what we're doing. And so any changes to the environment can really impact their livelihoods, their cultural practices, and their knowledge and practices also can offer insights and solutions to climate adaptation and mitigation. I hate to say canary in the coal mine, but those connected closely to the land, native and non-native, are the kind of the ones that let us know what's going on. So those conversations are brought to the table and discussed with the art. We take the students out to harvest, whether it's birch bark, quills, natural plants for dyeing, that kind of thing. And then we come back. So they can be part of the whole process as well. And its focus is art, but the other focus, and a strong focus, is the environment. And we just continue to do this. It just keeps happening because the artists and the people that we're working with. So we have these systems in place already. We're already doing this work. So the idea that we could be part of a more formal science project as well, and connecting those two committees even more. We worked with the Weissman Museum and Itasca Biolab on a project, and that was all about science and art, merging those two communities to have these conversations between scientists and artists and the natural environment.
Thank you, Ms. Faucher-Donnet, for your presentation, and we'll consider your project on evaluation. I don't see any hands, and also the time has already ran out, and so we're going to move on to the next project here. Proposal ID number 39, number 99. Proposal ID number 99, bring environmental education and outdoor recreation to K-12 school. This is line 114. Presenter, do come forth and state your name for the record.
Hello, commission members. My name is Brian Wood. Can you see me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. Thank you all for your time. I am Executive Director at Osprey Wild's Environmental Learning Center in Sandstone, Minnesota. I'm very appreciative of your time to talk about this grant application we've submitted to LCCMR, bringing environmental education and outdoor recreation to K-12 schools. What we're hoping to do with this is to educate over 7,500 Minnesota K-12 students through outreach programs that would address LCCMR's funding priorities of resiliency, water, education and outdoor recreation, fish and wildlife, energy and land. So many of you might think of us primarily for hosting overnight K-12 students at our outdoor school, and we do a large part of that. But what we've also found over the last few years is that there are a lot of schools, for a number of reasons, that's just not an option for them. And some schools have instituted school district-wide cancellations on field trips, so it doesn't matter if funding is there, they just don't do field trips. There also might be schools that don't have a teacher that's able or willing to be able to coordinate a field trip like that, or taking the time away from the classroom to be gone for a few days, or having trouble finding transportation. So we feel like every K-12 student should have the opportunity to learn about environmental education. And while we love for that to happen, at Osprey Wilds, there are a lot of other ways to do that as well. So what we want to do is take our classes to schools and teach environmental education and outdoor recreation with students in schools at their locations or nearby locations. And so they don't have to coordinate a field trip, and we can hopefully make that a lot more accessible to schools that's just not a reality for them. Minnesota is the only state to have 2 of the top 5 cities in the Trust for Public Land Park Score Index. So Minneapolis ranks 2nd, St. Paul ranks 5th. 99% of all Minneapolis and St. Paul residents have a park within 10 minutes of walking, which is amazing. And so as we look to take our programs to schools, one of the things we could check with the schools is there a nearby park where we could walk together and teach classes there? If that's not an option, we can certainly look at their school itself and the fields that they might have outside, or they might have a school forest, or we could even do some of our classes indoors at their school. But the idea would be to remove that logistical barrier of leaving the school in buses or for a long field trip, and bring the classes and programs to them. We have a variety of classes that touch on LCCMR's funding priorities that we would ensure at least one, if not multiple, of those categories are covered if a school takes programs with us. So what we would envision is reaching out, marketing to schools about this opportunity. They would contact us, and we'd find out how many students they would like programs for, how many days that might take, over a stretch of time, what classes they would like to take. And then we talk about their actual physical attributes of their school and see what would make sense for delivering those programs at their site. Our classes are designed for student groups of about 15. So we can go, anywhere from 10 to 20 is a good student number. And we would talk with the school to figure out how many classes that would be, with how many students they have, and then how many instructors we would bring. But we also have more presentation style programs that could be done in an auditorium or a gymnasium for a much larger group. So it could be a mix of those kinds of classes over a full day or just for a few hours of the day, whatever worked for that school. But our goal really here is to bring environmental education and outdoor recreation learning opportunities to schools, to where the students are, make it easier for teachers, and reduce that financial burden as well, so that we can really efficiently and effectively connect kids to the environment and outdoor recreation opportunities. So that's really the background to our program and what we're hoping to achieve here. Over 3 years, we would hope to reach a minimum of 7,500 K-12 students across Minnesota. So I will pause there and be delighted to answer any questions you might have.
Any question from members? Okay, well, Mr. Wood, thank you for the work that you do at the Osprey Y, and continue to increase the number of K-12 and engaging in the outdoor recreation and environmental education. Next is also one of your projects as well, right? I think it's the improving trail accessibility for Minnesota Osprey, and the proposal ID is 102. Line number on the evaluation 2 is 115. So go ahead with that presentation.
Thank you, Senator Herr, and thank you, commission members. I feel like this is a really shovel-ready, easy to execute program. It's a relatively small request, $25,000, but we're really primed to be able to upgrade our trails in a major way, just with a few simple additions. So Osprey Wilds in Sandstone, we're 90 miles north of the Twin Cities, 70 miles south of Duluth. We're only 5 miles off of Interstate 35, so we're very easy to access for people that are on that I-35 corridor. And we have a great set of trails. We have 13 miles of trails. They are free and accessible to the public. We do not charge anything, so they are open for hiking, walking, cross-country skiing, snowshoeing, those non-motorized types of recreation. But what we don't have is a nice trail signage system. So over the course of our 13 miles, we have 15 different intersections or trailheads. And currently we don't have any signage for those. But over the last year, we've been able to develop the mapping software to map out our trail signage or map out our trails. And so that is ready to go. We just need to be able to print them onto all-weather durable signs and then put those up at those 50 different trail junctures. So by doing that, we all of a sudden make our trails a lot more user-friendly, and people can know exactly where they're at each trail intersection. And we feel that would be a really great addition for not only our program participants that come to the center, of which we have about 3,000 K-12 students, as well as that number of adult and community members, but we also have people that just drop in, that we encourage to drop in for using our trails and enjoying that outdoor space on our 780 acres. So it'd make it a lot more easily accessible for them to feel comfortable and confident that they know how to navigate our trails and get around to them. So that would be one piece of it, is printing and then putting up those all-weather durable signs at those trail intersections. And then another piece would be adding Class 5 crushed limestone around about the half-mile worth of trails that connect our buildings to each other. That would make it a lot more flat and easy to access and walk for our program participants and people stopping by just to get to those trailheads, and make that a smoother improvement for those trails around and between our buildings, and then getting to those trailheads. We would really be excited to be able to upgrade our trails and just make this another accessible spot for people to enjoy. We are only 3 miles from the Willard Munger State Trail, which runs from Hinckley to Duluth for 70 miles. So there already are a lot of people that are near our door that are using that trail system, as well as Banning State Park and St. Croix. So we would like to just create another opportunity for people that are in the area or driving through to be able to stop, get out, stretch their legs, and enjoy a really beautiful property. One of the pieces to this grant also is creating some self-guided interpretive signage that people can learn while they're out at their own pace. And that would be creating 4 interpretive signs that touch on 3 terrestrial biomes that we have here at Osprey Wilds, as well as an aquatic biome. Minnesota is really unique in the fact that we have such biodiversity for a state that doesn't have mountain ranges and elevation changes, but the fact that we have, you know, the tall grass prairie coming to the eastern broadleaf forest to the northern conifer forest, all of those really converging in different pockets in Pine County, makes it a great learning opportunity for people. So we would plan to create those signs of the grassland biome, the eastern broadleaf deciduous forest biome, the northern conifer boreal forest biome, and place those in different spots that exhibit that on the property, as well as create one about fresh water, of which we have a really unique lake here at Grindstone, which is an oligotrophic lake, 153 feet deep. It holds lake trout, rainbow trout, brown trout. So that's very unique for as far south as we are in the state. And we also have a freshwater creek that flows in. So being able to talk about water and the hydrological cycle and create those learning opportunities for people at their own pace is also something we're excited about. And that's what this grant hopes to achieve, is more accessible trails and some guided interpretive signage. So thank you, and I'll open it up for questions.
Any question from members? Chair Albright.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thanks for your presentation. I have to say that I am completely unfamiliar with Osprey Wilds, so I appreciate the background of its location and what you do there. And I was looking at the attachment on your application, and I see that there are some stone fences or remnants, and I'm just curious about those, if they're old or how they appeared on your property. Thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah, happy to answer that, Commissioner Albrecht. Just in case people are curious or not aware, but up until 2020, our name was Audubon Center of the North Woods, and we've been around since 1968, but we made a name change. We're still the same organization, but in case some of you might have heard of that name, that's who we are. In terms of the stone walls, it's a really neat history that we have. A lot of the land was cleared out for agricultural purposes from the early 1900s through the 1950s, and it was a working dairy farm by a family that purchased the land up here. So we have miles of stone walls that people can see as they're navigating our trails, that you can see the lichens on them, and in some spot you can see that it's larger, fewer rocks, so which would indicate pasture, and then other spots where there's a lot of little rocks piled up, which would indicate row crop history. So there's a lot of neat human history connected to here, and then the family that owned it gifted it in 1968 to what became now Osprey Wilds through a bequest. But that agricultural piece is still evident if you look as you're out exploring the property.
Thank you.
Any other commissioners? Well, thank you very much, Mr. Wood, for the work you do with the Osprey Wild. So we're gonna move on to the next presenter. Before we do that, I just wanna announce the presence of Senator Westrom, who just joined us about a few minutes ago. So next on the next item is proposal ID 115, Duluth Transverse Accessibility and Sustainability Improvements, and the evaluation number is 116, but proposal ID is 115. So welcome to our committee, LCCMR, and state your name for the record.
Thank you. My name is Ansel Schimpf. I'm the executive director of the Cyclists of Gitchagumi Shores, or COGS. Yeah.
Go ahead with your presentation.
Awesome. So yeah, thanks for having me. Thanks for the opportunity to talk today. So if you're not familiar with COGS, we are a mountain bike advocacy organization here in Duluth, Minnesota. We maintain and build and advocate for nearly 100 miles of multi-use bike optimized trails in the city of Duluth, including the Duluth Traverse, which is a 44-mile trail that spans from east to west, connects all the neighborhoods in the city and many of our parks along the way as well. In recent years, we've turned our focus from new trail construction to maintaining our existing network and then increasing accessibility to that network. To date, only about 6 miles of our 100-mile network are accessible to adaptive recreation equipment, and that creates major barriers for a lot of the individuals in our community. Additionally, we have sections of trail that are built in really high clay content soils, and those are prone to runoff if they're not properly hardened and capped. And several segments of that trail run along designated cold water trout streams. So this proposal addresses both the environmental concerns and accessibility issues on a segment of trail over by Spirit Mountain Recreation Area. In 2024, sorry, we rebuilt 2 miles of existing trail to meet the needs of our adaptive cycling community. And then that complemented work done by the city and the Spirit Mountain Recreation Area, which created about a 4-mile loop that's now open to adaptive cyclists. Unfortunately, the trail that connects to that loop is not accessible to adaptive cyclists, and so there is not a good trailhead where these riders can get out, use the bathroom, and get out on the trail. So this proposal would reconstruct about 6,500 feet of Duluth Traverse between Spirit Mountain, which is an incredible trailhead in our community, to this new section of trail, and it would build that section of trail up to those adaptive standards. And it would also address several erosion issues along that trail system. So that trail is one of those that is in a very high clay content soil, and it runs right along Knowlton Creek, which is a designated cold water trout stream. So with support from this grant, we would rebuild that segment of trail, creating a high quality user experience for people of all abilities, and access to the trailhead amenities, and a more complete trail experience. It would also improve drainage and long-term durability of that segment of trail, and protect the cold water trout stream resources that we have here in Duluth. Yeah, I think that's about the summary of our proposal.
Any questions? Any question to Mr. Sosham? All right. Thank you for your presentation, and we'll consider it your evaluation.
Sounds great. Thank you so much.
Okay. So next is proposal ID 165, college school collaboration to restore campuses and activate stewardship. Also, this is let me see, this is line 117. So welcome. State your name for the record.
Good morning. My name is Kimberly Musser. I'm from the Water Resources Center at Minnesota State University, Mankato. Good morning, co-chairs and members of the committee. We greatly appreciate the opportunity to present today. So I am representing a broad collaboration of Minnesota State professors, staff, and students, Mankato area public school teachers and students, and a diverse group of conservation professionals down here in southern Minnesota. And the problem that we are working on here is that kids are less connected to nature. They have limited opportunities to go on field trips and to learn about local environmental issues or environmental career pathways. So the project focus for us is getting students out working on restoration projects, restoring school grounds in particular. We have created opportunities for students to learn and visit local restored lands in our region and to meet a host of diverse environmental professionals. And really, we're working to try to foster an interest in environmental career pathways. So the approach that we're taking is we have a cohort of interdisciplinary college students that are kind of the engine that work behind the scenes to create a lot of the events, field trips. They work on research and stewardship planning. They do interpretation and support the high school and middle school students that are working on restoration work on their school grounds. So these college students get to gain professional experience. They get exposure to these diverse landscapes and amazing conservation professionals. And we're finding there's a lot of power in near peer mentors. So these college students working closely with high school and middle school students. So some of the events that we'd love to be able to continue to offer in our region is a full day biology field trip to Minneopa State Park for all high school students in biology classes. So this reaches about 600 students a year. The students get to come to Minneopa for a full day. They get to meet a host of different environmental professionals at stations across the park. So it's a very strong collaboration with the DNR. They get to meet DNR fisheries staff and see fish that were just caught in the river. They get to go on hikes with MSU environmental science professors to learn about floodplain ecology. They get to collect macroinvertebrates in Minneopa Creek and learn from MPCA biological monitoring specialists what those critters say about the health of the ecosystem. So it's a really rich, full day with a lot of learning and a lot of exposure to environmental professionals. Another component that we would love to be able to continue to offer in our region is stewardship teams. So we've started to develop stewardship teams at 5 campuses, 5 schools, and 1 college. So we have been able to offer 8 field trip experiences for students that are interested in potentially pursuing environmental career pathways. And these are students that are leaders in each of their campuses. So we've pulled them together from middle school, high school, and college, and are taking them on field trips. We're introducing them. This last year, they were able to meet like 30 different environmental professionals. And they are the folks that are working very hard on stewardship projects on their school campuses. So the other component that is the main focus of this is restoring biodiverse landscapes on school grounds. So we are working again with 5 different sites of school sites and 1 college site, and they are restoring over 7 acres of prairie landscapes, forest landscapes, and ponds. And these will be accessible outdoor classrooms right on their school grounds. There's a lot of power where they do not have to leave to be able to enjoy these wild natural landscapes. So finally, the project addition that we would like to create is a public information campaign, and that will help to activate stewardship more broadly in our region. So we're learning that we have these very articulate and passionate student leaders and really knowledgeable conservation professionals in our area. So we really want to capture some of the learning that's occurring on these restoration projects on school grounds and share it with the broader community. So the concept some of the kids have been cooking up is creating how-to videos and social media networks that will help our broader community understand how do you create a prairie pocket, or how do you create a bee lawn? And really, if you have a forest landscape, how do you diversify that forest landscape to make these more biodiverse places where pollinators can thrive? So these would be a host of videos and other social media posts where we can really help to amplify what we're learning at the school sites and have it ripple from the students to the families to this broader community. So in conclusion, I just want to share some of the reflections from some of our lead teachers. So one underscored that we are teaching our next generation how to be stewards in their community and in their backyards. Another one commented that the stewardship teams have really helped students learn and act on projects that matter with people who care. And finally, another teacher reflected that we really need to make examples of healthy biodiverse landscapes all over our region, and schools are the place to start. Any willing to take questions?
Thank you. Any questions from our member, Chair Albright?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thanks for your presentation. I have to say I learned a new term today, near peer mentors. I love that term, and I think you are spot on with that young people really relate to, high school students really relate to those adolescent peers in colleges. So I appreciate that you're using that as a strategy for engaging those high school students. And I also just want to say that I appreciate a presentation coming from Minnesota colleges and universities, because we have not had very many from that system. And I appreciate that you have created this project. I'm looking forward to supporting it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other members? Okay, I don't see a show of hands, so thank you, Ms. Moser, for your presentation. Next is our proposal ID 177, and evaluation line is 118, the urban farming education to increase urban environment stewardship. So if you're here, turn on your camera and microphone and introduce yourself, then go ahead with your presentation.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Daniel Colton Schmidt. I am with the East Phillips Neighborhood Institute, and our urban farms are located in the East Phillips neighborhood, which is an area with excessive pollution, without access to fresh, nutritious, and affordable food, and where people need knowledge, skills, and hands-on experience to safely grow healthy food on polluted land. There's inadequate outdoor natural spaces for people to gather and residents lack access to information about sustainable land practices and water stewardship. This area, this neighborhood, was designated a Superfund site by the EPA in 2007 due to a history of excessive residential soil and groundwater contamination by heavy metals, including arsenic and lead going back to the 1930s. The East Phillips Neighborhood Institute, or EPNI, utilizes indigenous and multicultural land stewardship practices to create natural outdoor spaces that showcase best environmental practices, engage our community in urban farming, create a greener neighborhood, and provide apprenticeship opportunities to young people who are interested in working in these fields. EPNI currently farms on 3 sites in the East Phillips neighborhood in partnership with local community-based organizations, Little Earth of United Tribes, Tamales y Bicicletas, and the East Phillips Improvement Coalition, for a total land stewardship of just over 1/4 acre on 3 city lots. But in those 3 city lots, EPNI is creating huge impacts on our community. EPNI is also in the permitting process with Hennepin County to steward Railroad Authority land on the Greenway, and we're working with the city of Minneapolis to purchase a 7.6 acre former industrial site to convert it to a center of resilience, education, food and renewable energy production, and apprenticeship in the East Phillips community. Right now, EPNI is increasing access to healthy, biodiverse outdoor spaces for underserved residents through urban farming education programming, which uses stewardship practices derived from cultural traditions from the neighborhood. We, as community residents, gather in a natural environment to learn about land and water stewardship. Through monthly community workshops, EPNI shares a variety of cultural, agricultural, and ecological topics through hands-on activities. Participants receive seeds, plants, and educational materials that enhance their knowledge of pollinators, vegetables, and medicines. And East Phillips residents are empowered to create more healthy and biodiverse spaces in their own backyards, which improves water quality and increases the community's sense of connection to the land within the historically polluted urban landscape. EPNI also provides paid apprenticeship programs, so youth and community residents have the opportunity to learn about careers in urban land stewardship and community resilience. EPNI is leading the community's vision to increase urban food production, reduce pollution, create green jobs, and protect and improve the quality of urban land and water. EPNI teaches 1 workshop per month, which focuses on seasonally relevant information. Some workshops have included 3 sisters planting, medicine wheel planting, mushroom cultivation, compost and soil health, watershed management, cultivating leafy greens, herbalism, and more. The workshops are attended by roughly 30 community residents, though our largest workshop had 60 attendees. We also give away all of the food that we cultivate for free to the community. We give away other important items like HEPA grade air filters, energy efficiency kits, and rain barrels. Through LCCMR support, EPNI will continue to host 1 workshop per month, continue to develop and refine the curriculum, annually test the soil in neighborhood urban farms to ensure safe food production, teach 300 to 500 local residents how to grow healthy food and steward natural resources in the polluted urban landscape, and create opportunities for 5 youth annually to get paid to learn about environmental careers. And we will serve as a demonstration site for other neighborhoods to improve habitat and encourage environmental stewardship throughout Minnesota's urban landscapes. Last year, with only 6 plots, or roughly 300 square feet under cultivation, EPNI taught 6 workshops to 180 community residents, gave away 200 pounds of fresh food to our community, 140 HEPA grade air filters, and 30 energy efficiency kits. In 2025, through a partnership with Little Earth, we are cultivating 1/4 acre and anticipate teaching over 300 residents, giving away 7,000 pounds of fresh food, giving away and helping install 60 rain barrels, distributing 200 HEPA grade air filters, and paying 5 youth to learn about urban farming, environmental justice, and cultural stewardship. The workshops are wonderful cultural events, and community residents become closer to each other and closer to the land. They gain a great sense of land stewardship and a sense of pride and responsibility towards protecting and enjoying the natural world. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your presentation. I have Commissioner Beeman remark or question. Go ahead. Commissioner Beeman? I see your hand raised.
Sorry. Forgot to unmute. Thank you very much. I'm not directly familiar with EPNI, but I've certainly seen some of those small plots as I've been in that community. And I appreciate you talking about the connectivity to the community through education beyond just, the acreage itself of those plots. They may sound small and it may sound in the big world of urban agriculture not very big, but I think you're in the Phillips neighborhood in particular. It sounds like you are really building connection and building trust with a broader range of residents, neighbors, other groups. And so for a relatively small investment, it seems as though it could have payoff and much bigger dividends in ways that might not just be from the urban agriculture itself. So I appreciate you talking about it.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I see Chair Jordan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you to the presenter. I'm a Minneapolis resident, and I'm very familiar with the work of the East Phillips neighborhood and Institute. And this has been a really important project that connects a lot of parts of Minneapolis, but in particular, for this committee, we've talked a lot about connecting Native youth with the outdoors. I hope people realize that the Little Earth housing is located in East Phillips and that there's a lot of Indigenous-led initiatives as part of this. So I'm wondering if the presenter can talk a little bit about that. I know that's a special concern for many members of this committee. And so maybe that would just be good so people can really understand how important this is.
Yeah. Oh, sorry about that. Thank you. Thank you for the question. Yes, our team of urban farming educators are Native, Black, and from Mexico and from the Caribbean. So we have a really diverse educator team and also super close ties with Little Earth of United Tribes. So through that partnership of helping cultivate 1/4 of an acre at Little Earth, that also includes teaching Native youth at Little Earth in partnership with their urban farm. And of course, our lead educator being Anishinaabe, bringing in those cultural teachings of the medicine wheel, of the Three Sisters, and just absolutely so much more. So when I talk about the cultural aspect to these urban farming workshops, certainly we're talking about Indigenous culture, but also speaking about the other cultures here in East Phillips, which include East African immigrants, Latinx populations, and those folks are represented on our educator team as well.
Okay, any other question or comment? 1 minute left. Chair Albright.
Thank you. I see we're almost out of time, but just briefly, I see in your attachment poster, it talks about hugelkultur, and I'm curious if you've implemented that, where you're getting your waste wood from, and how that is a strategy that helps you be successful in these gardens.
Mr. Smith.
Thank you for the question. Yeah, we're really excited that we actually won the MPCA's Wood Waste Utilization Grant this year, and we are partnering with Beckett Wood Cooperative in South Minneapolis. They have 12 acres and over 1,000 trees. So we are actually utilizing wood waste that comes from South Minneapolis to both do hugelkultur and we're also using wood waste to build compost bins and raised beds and utilizing we're working with a sculptor actually. And so a woodworker and a sculptor to build urban farm infrastructure out of wood waste.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Smith, for your presentation, and best of luck for you for the great work.
Thank you very much.
Next on our agenda is proposal 231, evaluation line 118. And this is the Yes Connect student to outdoor for youth-led sustainability. So come on board, turn on your camera and audio, and state your name for the record. I'm
Thank you.
getting good at this.
Thank you so much. My name is Callie Pratt. I'm the Director of Youth Eco Solutions. Thank you so much for the opportunity to share a proposal with you today. Youth Eco Solutions, also known as YES, is an environmental program partnered with Prairie Woods Environmental Learning Center located in Spicer, Minnesota. Our mission at YES is to empower Minnesota-based youth, both middle school and high school students, to create solutions to today's ecological challenges through hands-on action projects. Our project, titled YES Connects Students to Outdoors for Youth-Led Sustainability, is grounded in a simple idea that young people care deeply about the environment, and with the right support and access, they can become powerful leaders and stewards of Minnesota's natural resources. Right now, many students are growing up with an incredible access to technology, but limited access to the outdoors. For a growing number of youth, especially in underserved communities, spending time in nature, learning how ecosystems work, or even just going for a hike or paddle isn't part of their everyday experience. And while we know students are concerned about the climate and the future of the planet, many aren't sure how to get involved or even where to start. This proposal aims to change that. With your support, YES will engage students from all across Minnesota in meaningful, hands-on outdoor learning experiences. From wetlands and prairies to forests and lakes, students will explore the diverse ecosystems that make our state so special. They'll have the opportunities to test water quality, plant native species, track wildlife, and learn conservation practices in real time and real places. But the learning doesn't stop in the field. YES students will also take what they've learned and put into action, designing and leading sustainability projects back in their own schools and communities. These projects are as creative and varied as the students themselves, including native pollinator gardens, recycling systems, energy audits, fast fashion, and so much more. And throughout the experience, students are supported not just by YES staff, but by Minnesota-based environmental professionals and green career mentors. Through fall summits, winter retreats, and career-focused workshops, we'll connect students to a network of passionate people and potential career paths, helping them imagine a future where they can continue making a difference. Since YES began in 2007, we've worked with more than 5,000 students and partnered with over 7,000 experts, educators, and local organizations, impacting more than 366,000 Minnesotans along the way. We know this model works, and we know that there's more that we can continue to do. With ENRTF funding, we'll be able to offer 10 outdoor workshops per year focused on ecology and sustainability, support students in launching 20 community-based sustainability projects, host retreats and large group recreation events to build outdoor skills and connections, and ensure students, especially from underserved communities, have everything they need to participate fully if they choose, including transportation, gear, project funds, and exposure to an inclusive community of workshop presenters. This project is about more than just environmental education. It's about building confidence, leadership, and a lasting sense of connection to the natural world. It's about helping students feel that they belong outside, that they have a voice, and that they can lead too. We often hear from students who say, YES changed how they see the world and how they see themselves. They come away not only with skills and knowledge, but with community, inspiration, and hope. Minnesota's future depends on young people who understand and care about our land, water, and ecosystems. With your support, we can give them the tools, the opportunities, and the encouragement that they need in order to step in those roles. Thank you for your time and consideration. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Okay, any question or remark from our members? Okay, Ms. Pratt, looks like you did very well. So no remarks there. Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you so much for your time.
Best of luck. Next on our agenda is proposal ID 302. evaluation line 120, engaging St. Paul youth in a meaningful restoration work. This is an Urban Roots project. So welcome, turn on your camera and audio and state your name for the record.
Hi, good morning. My name is Haley Ball and
I'm David Woods.
we work at Urban Roots. Urban Roots serves the east side of St. Paul in job training internships for youth ages 14 through 24. Our mission is to cultivate and empower youth through nature, healthy food, and community. And we do that through our youth internship program. We hire youth starting at $13.50 an hour to work in one of three programs. One of them is our Market Garden program. Youth in that program are engaging in urban regenerative agriculture. We operate 5 growing sites across the east side of St. Paul. We grow roughly 15,000 pounds of food each year. That is either distributed through our hunger relief partners as well as sold at farmers markets through entrepreneurial training for our youth. And then we also provide produce weekly for all of our interns and their families. Our conservation program is a natural resource conservation program where youth interns are learning about career pathways and then also environmental education. And David, if you want to say any more about that.
Yep, so the youth engage in a really extensive environmental education program where they are learning about the local ecology of Minnesota, learning how to identify native plants and invasive species, learning about watersheds and how water moves, especially through an urban ecosystem like St. Paul, and also engaging in outdoor recreation thanks to a previous DNR No Child Left Inside grant that we had, where we were able to purchase fishing equipment, archery equipment, and some macroinvertebrate equipment to use with our youth throughout the summer. We also have pollinator gardens and rain gardens that we have installed throughout the community, both in public and private spaces that the youth get to help design and then also maintain throughout the years after its initial install.
And then our third program is our Cook Fresh program. That program examines a lens of food through food justice and culture and food industry career pathways, where our youth interns are working with professional chefs and community members across the east side of St. Paul to learn more about food science and nutrition. Our proposal is really addressing the youth internship program and funding the activities within that and the work that our youth are doing. Annually, we hire 90 youth for our summer program and 45 continue on into the academic year program. Youth internships have a positive impact on economic, academic, and health-related outcomes, making the experiences a powerful lever for our youth that are addressing inequities. All youth enrolled in the program are from cost-burdened households or have significant barriers to employment. And that kind of runs a gamut from what those may be. So it can be youth from New American families, youth that are enrolled in special education courses, those types of things.
Yep, and another key component of our internship program is our progressive program model. So we encourage youth to work with us multiple years, each year building off the previous year's experience and enhancing kind of their internship and diving deeper into the program. So the very first year, this is their first job. And so the focus is just helping introduce youth to general job skills that will be applicable wherever they go after serving with us. And also starting to learn the ins and outs of their program, how to operate an urban farm, what habitat restoration looks like. And then their second year, they come back, they're diving a lot deeper into their program, starting to serve as leaders and mentors for those previous or new first year interns, and starting to take on new special projects. So for example, in the conservation program, would be helping to build out some of those pollinator gardens that we might be installing, coming up with the designs for that, or helping to develop curriculum. And then we have third year interns that do all of that and more. They really serve as the youth leaders in their programs. They help facilitate and run a youth council that meets weekly to work on projects of issue and concern to the youth in the organization. They are serving as leaders and mentors and also participating in weekly job visits with various partners, anywhere from local hospitals to, we've been to NPR, and various corporate partners as well. And then the third or the fourth level would be our crew leads, where it start as a transition role where the youth, generally they've graduated high school at that point, but they want to continue to stay involved. So they take on a staff position at Urban Roots and either help to run the programs that they have been a part of for so long. Again, really working on helping to develop and facilitate the curriculum that we use in our programming, or helping with some of the admin behind the scenes work. So we have multiple youth now that are serving in administrative positions, and then also some of the youth helping with kind of our bigger behind the scene work of either helping with community gardens or tree distribution into the community. So we are seeking funding this year to both support our general internship program and then also to really help us build out and maintain our crew lead position program, in that every year kind of fluctuates who is eligible for these positions, and we want to be able to have the funding and position to be able to offer those as soon as the youth come on. And then finally, we do a wide range of outreach every year, participating in public community events, hosting workshops and events at our space, and reach at least 2,000 community members a year. And we are seeking support to continue to help with that.
Sounds good. We have 4 minutes left, so I want to give time to the questions from our members. Ms. Commissioner Beeman, you first.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you to the presenters. I'm familiar with your organization. I think it does great work and is a very big asset both to that community and also broader. I just wanted to get clarified, is the funding you're seeking here, is it expanding? What is it expanding in the work that you're doing versus the ongoing internships and support that you already have in place?
Yeah, so with just kind of how the funding landscape has been, our youth internship program is losing access to funding through a variety of kind of traditional sources. And so to help shore up the stability and longevity of our base internship program and to be able to offer more hours and a higher wage to those returning interns that are in their second and third and fourth year, and then also to really support the crew lead positions that we have. It's been kind of an experiment that we've been doing in our programming for the past couple of years. We would really want to flesh it out and embed it into our programming, where we can communicate to a youth when it's their very first year that this is a thing that will be available for them as they graduate throughout the community as they go or through the program.
Okay, Chair Albright.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thanks for your presentation. I'm familiar somewhat with Urban Roots because I know you've had projects with Minnesota DNR in the past that I'm familiar with. A question, one of the challenges or barriers that we have for our low-income youth in my area, and I'm guessing you may have the same one, you mentioned some barriers to participation, and that is transportation. Do you offer bus vouchers or transportation to your work sites for low-income youth?
Yes, we do. So we do offer for our youth interns, there's a couple of different ways that we're tackling that through bus cards that we provide, or our partner Right Track, depending on whose payroll that they are on, as we have so many interns. We also have started a driver's education cohort as a certification during the academic year programming to help with future transportation related issues. And then finally, we have a fleet of vehicles that we use to transport our youth as well, cargo vans.
We also use bicycles and get donations of bicycles every year that we're able to hand out to youth if they request them.
Exactly.
Oh, great.
Okay, I see Representative Heinzman.
Thank you. Just a clarification, I think that there was funding that was not going to be coming to this program was from a traditional source. I guess those other traditional funding mechanisms might have been.
Representative Heisman, maybe can you turn off your camera? Maybe that will give us a better hearing of your audio.
Sure, I'll try that. No, I think it was the testifier David, I think, that was mentioning that they were losing funding from traditional revenue streams. Is it still bad, Mr. Chair?
Nope, we can hear you.
Yep, we can hear you.
Okay. If you had, I'm just curious what those traditional funding mechanisms might have been. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have traditionally partnered with a variety of folks to like get those internships funded. One of them is City of St. Paul, Right Track in Ramsey County, as well as some other private grant funders and state grant funders like Minnesota Deed. Some of those, there's just been increased competitions as other private funding sources have been dwindling or things that are getting cut in certain areas. So we're trying to time is up, but yes.
That's okay. Take your time. Take
Okay. I'm sorry, I was trying to talk so fast. So we've had some funding in other grant areas. We did have some funding cut from the USDA that we were facing, as well as there have been some like federal shifts in funding that we've had, which included youth wages in some of those areas. And we're trying to make sure that we have as much diversity in funding sources so that we're able to continue and can remain with that commitment to our youth interns as we have the progressive program model.
We're also trying to increase the wages and hours offered to the youth to make this a competitive job, and so that the youth can afford to participate in this valuable program that many recognize, but sometimes have to leave to go work at maybe a retail location just to be able to help support their family at home.
Mr. Chair, thank you. That's helpful. I don't need anything else. Appreciate the question and the answer.
Thank you very much, and thank you for the good work that you do, crossing between environment, agriculture, and job opportunity. I'm very familiar with Urban Roots, and it's in my Senate district. I think it was, but now you're a little off. But the land and some of the activity are still, going back and forth in my district and my neighboring district. So thank you. Next item is proposal 367. Evaluation line is 121. Minnesota Water Education for K-5. So welcome. State your name for the record.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and members of the Commission. Thank you for the opportunity to present here today. My name is Omena Giles, and I'm the Program Specialist for School Outreach. In the room with me is Farzad Sajjadi, the Senior Director for the Center for STEM Education. We're here on behalf of the Science Museum of Minnesota to share our proposal for a statewide water education initiative designed specifically for K-5 students. This proposal would bring hands-on, standards-aligned science programming to schools across Minnesota. The Science Museum of Minnesota has been delivering statewide educational outreach for more than 30 years. We are a trusted partner of schools across the state, bringing STEM learning to life through large group assemblies and in-class residencies. Our assemblies are designed to spark science learning for groups of up to 250 students at a time, while our residencies allow for hands-on investigation and in-depth learning. Both programs feature unique materials and interactive demonstrations that illustrate the importance of water in the ecosystems around us and in our daily lives. After each program, students and teachers are surveyed about their experience. 89% of teachers agreed that students learned something new from our programs, and 92% agree that our programs felt relevant to their students. Teachers consistently report that they value our amazing instructors, fun programs, and interactive activities. Last year alone, we reached 127 schools and had around 40,000 student engagements, driving over 20,000 miles for programming across the state. But we know the demand is far higher, and many schools simply cannot afford additional educational resources. School budgets are under enormous strain. While the focus on reading and math recovery after the pandemic is understandable, it leaves less room for hands-on science in early grades, especially science that explores Minnesota water systems. Teachers consistently tell us they want our programs, but that they don't have the funds to afford them. This is particularly true for rural schools, where travel costs add up quickly. Even in the metro, where travel costs do not apply, many schools lack the financial resources to pay for outside organizations to come into schools. We are ready to meet the demand of schools and teachers who are seeking additional STEM resources for their students. This proposal would allow us to waive our fees for water programming, expand our reach up to 177 schools per year, and possibly increase our total student engagements to 55,000 per year. This is a meaningful statewide impact and one that we are confident we can deliver. We are also asking for a capital investment to purchase a new van to support this expanded statewide travel. Right now, the museum owns 2 vans that are large enough to carry a full week of outreach materials, with one of those vans nearing the end of its service life. Without this new van, it is not feasible for our current fleet to support the increase in programming we are proposing. We are also requesting travel funds to support the delivery of this programming. Those funds would cover direct costs only: gas, lodging, and per diem for staff doing multi-day trips, while the museum continues to absorb all overhead expenses. All maintenance, insurance, and depreciation costs would be covered by the museum, not the state. During the application process, we will prioritize schools with the greatest financial need because we believe every student deserves hands-on water science education, especially in a state like ours, where water is central to both our identity and our future. By offering our water programs at no cost for 2 years, this project will allow us to fully gauge the statewide demand for these educational opportunities. We will then take this data to private sponsors and funders to help sustain and expand beyond the end of the grant. We are committed to developing lasting relationships with schools and teachers, regardless of funding. We see this as a public investment in a larger effort to ensure hands-on water education is available across the state. Minnesota's future scientists are in classrooms today. With your support, we can meet them where they are, no matter where they live, and connect them to science that's meaningful, relevant, and rooted in the natural world around them. Thank you for your time and consideration, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have at this time.
Thank you. Any question or remark from members or commissioners? Okay, so you are right on the dot on your presentation. Thank you very much, Ms. Gills, for the presentation. We're going to move to the next project.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you to the members of the commission.
Okay. The next project is proposal ID 436, Evaluation Line 122, Outdoor Learning Center and Trails. So do come forward, turn on your camera and audio and introduce your name for the record.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the commission. My name is Chris Lindholm. I am beginning my 5th year as superintendent of schools here in Cook County, Minnesota, located in Grand Marais, the far northeast corner of Minnesota. And prior to that, I was superintendent in Pequot Lakes and a teacher and administrator in the Twin Cities. Cook County Schools, if you're not familiar, serves about 470 students in preschool through 12th grade. About half of our students grow up in poverty. Our district also includes the Grand Portage Band of Lake Superior Chippewa Reservation. And the economy in Cook County has evolved from a logging and fishing economy to one dominated by tourism and hospitality, and of course, as a main entry point into the Boundary Waters. If you've been to Cook County or Grand Marais, you know that it is absolutely stunningly beautiful, and it's a great place to live and work. And the outdoors and the arts are the heartbeat of our culture here. Cook County Schools successfully passed a $24.2 million referendum last November. And so heavy construction is planned for the summers of 2026 and 2027. The district is also working on a bond referendum for fall 2026 for $6.65 million, matched by a $5 million grant from the IRRB for a new outdoor track, a multi-purpose field for softball, baseball, softball, and track and field, of course. And some much needed updates to our theater, the Arrowhead Center for the Arts, that was built in 1998 and serves as the hub of performing arts here in Cook County. The purpose of the LCCMR grant application is to complement this new construction and the remodeling project with an investment in 2 different outdoor learning spaces and some updates to our DNR recognized school forest of about 25 to 30 acres. Just 3 years ago, Cook County Schools invested in adding an outdoor environmental education teaching position to increase the connection our students have to the beautiful outdoor environment that we live in here in Cook County. And then just 2 years ago, the district began a strategic partnership with Friends of the Boundary Waters to teach students camping and canoeing skills and survival skills. And then just this past spring, our 8th graders took their first annual end of the school year overnight trip into the Boundary Waters. Our vision or our hope is that in the year ahead, or maybe the next 2 years ahead, we will implement an overnight trip for our seniors as a capstone to their time here in Cook County. We know that even though we live right next to the Boundary Waters, with about half of our students living in poverty, a lot of our students never get to experience the Boundary Waters. And we're working hard to make sure every student in Cook County has that experience through our school system. Our LCCMR grant application to improve our local school forest and to create outdoor learning spaces is a partnership with the Grand Portage Band of Lake Superior, Chippewa. Dr. Eric Reddix, the Ojibwe language and culture teacher with the band, who also happens to be a school board member for Cook County Schools, and I are working on plans to use the forest and the outdoor learning spaces as a key vehicle for teaching our students Ojibwe language and culture, and about how the Anishinaabe value living in a healthy reciprocal relationship with this land that we're on. As of this past school year, every single student in our elementary school is taught Ojibwe language and culture due to our partnership with Grand Portage. I'm not aware of any other regular public elementary school that teaches Ojibwe language and culture to every single student. And we could not be prouder and more grateful for this program and this partnership with Grand Portage. Our hope is to create outdoor learning spaces and opportunities to bring this important teaching into natural spaces where the connections to this land can really be brought to life. We currently have a sort of a school garden, and our hope is to enhance that with some collaboration and presentation spaces, enhancements to make it much more productive in terms of a learning space. So with that, I'll be prepared to answer any questions. Thank you for this time.
Any question from members? Commissioner Moore.
Thank you, Chair Herr, and thank you for the presentation. I enjoyed it greatly. I have a very specific question to ask. Is the Grand Portage Band directly getting any funds from this project?
No, not at all. This would just be to enhance what's here, and then Eric and I work together to create, to tie it into the Ojibwe language program that we already have in place.
Great, thank you. Director Nash understands why I'm asking that question, but if that were the case, I would have to declare a conflict of interest.
Sure.
Since it's not the case, I'm fully supportive of this project.
Understood.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or remarks? Okay, well, thank you, Mr. Lindstrom, for your presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the commission.
Okay. So next on our agenda is proposal ID 450, evaluation line 123. This is the facility outdoor improvement by veteran on the lake. I believe we did have site visit in the past to veterans on the lake. So if you're on here, do turn on your camera and first introduce yourself, then go on with your presentation. Welcome. Hello, veterans on the lake, facility outdoor improvement. Okay, maybe they're not here yet. I'm gonna check. All right. Are you here? About the Lakewood Elementary School. Are you here at the moment? The Duluth School District.
I am.
Oh, the Lakewood Elementary, right? Okay, why don't you go ahead and we'll come back to
Yes.
the previous, and this is proposal ID 571 members, and evaluation line is 124. This is the Lakewood Elementary School trial renewal and community engagement number 2. So welcome and state your name for the record. And then after this, member, I'm gonna go and check to see if the Veterans on the Lake is present. Thank you. So introduce your name for the record and go ahead with your presentation.
Yeah, hello. My name is Darren Sheldon. I'm the principal of Lakewood School in Duluth. I'm also the federal programs coordinator for the entire district. So Legislative Citizens Commission and Minnesota Resource Committee, thank you for allowing us to present today. Because we are going earlier than projected, which is good for you. I hope you get done early because I know how these things can be when you have a long week like this. But I was going to have my PTA president with me and our foundation president with me, but sorry, you just get me. So why are we here? We have done 2 studies, our elementary school, in the last 6 years. Our first study was with the University of Minnesota Duluth regarding the ecosystem within our school forest because of the continuous flooding by the beavers damming the pond area in our school forest. The main point that came out of this study is that we have a perfect habitat for beavers. To quote, "The beavers will move away, but will return because of the perfect ecosystem down there." We then did a second study with Full Sun Services regarding the sustainability of current structures in the school forest, as the current trail system was made by volunteers many years ago. I and other Lakewood citizens have been trying to repair the trail system the best we can year after year, but we are losing the battle. What would be done down there? We would create a series of raised trails, platforms, puncheons, culverts, and would give a better view of the school forest and would alleviate any flooding issues created by high waters. This would include bridges and proper footings. This would do 3 things: allow us to fully use the school as functioning as an environmental education center to learn about water sampling, birding, life cycles, ecosystems, various plant species, and more. We also now use our outdoor spaces for counseling purposes, such as simply walking around the school forest trail with kids who are experiencing stress, anxiety, or trauma. The space is also used by our community. Even though Duluth is an urban area, our school is located on the northeast side of Duluth and has an extreme country feel, as we are located between Duluth proper and 2 harbors, serving the Normanna, Lakewood, Rice Lake, Gunnison, Alden, and Friedenship townships. Our plan: we have 2 parts of our school forest which spans 1 mile in length, separated by 2 half-mile stretches. Our plan is to reuse the bridging system on the west end, where the current pond is located, and move those materials to the east end. To quote both studies we have done, you want to build a system around the pond that lasts 30 years, but also still maintains an ecosystem for wildlife in the west end of the school forest. We have a Lakewood community that is ready to embark on this endeavor. Our Lakewood Foundation has accepted the $96,000 match that will probably mostly come from volunteer hours. However, many businesses in the area, which are mostly of the trades profession, our PTA, our foundation, and our community are ready to help make this a success. Why LCCMR? We have been putting $1,000 here, $1,000 there into our school's forest, mostly provided by our PTA. But we are not keeping up with Mother Nature. Our study from Full Sun Services indicated you need something bigger, like LCCMR. This is why we are coming to you today, so that we can sustain and ultimately enhance our school forest and environmental education. Like most recently, when our Lakewood Foundation put a playscape in the middle of the school forest for our pre-K program. We know that this is not a lot of money when you're talking billions of dollars, but this amount of money for us, which is small, is really huge for us. And so we are hoping that you will make this a reality. And thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Sheldon. Want to see if member have any questions? Okay, well, thank you very much for your presentation. That's really efficient here. You're got done within 4 minutes. So
all right.
So
thank you for your time, everybody, and good luck. And yeah.
And good luck to you.
Thank you.
We're gonna go back to proposal ID 450 line evaluation line 123. This is facility outdoor improvement for the veteran on the lake. If Mr. Meirani or Eric, is he here?
Yes.
Can
you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
All right, very good.
Yep.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Eric Marinan. I'm chairman of the board of Veterans on the Lake Resort. Our mission is to remove barriers so everyone can enjoy the outdoors. I'd like to thank the LCCMR for their past support in providing some funding for 3 projects. And this proposal also has 3 projects. Our intentions are to remove barriers in 3 different locations. One is to create a new fishing pier. That project will remove an old boathouse, which isn't utilized, put in a fishing pier, which we already have one, which is greatly utilized. And then from there, we're going to take our old 8x8 fish cleaning house. We're going to make that a bit larger, probably 16 by 16, improve the water septic system on it, and create that as a ADA accessible facility where a person in a wheelchair can go right in and clean his own fish if he'd like. And another part of the project, the proposal is to get some funding to finish off our tennis court area. The tennis court area is scheduled to be repaved this year. It's utilized by the Minnesota sled hockey team for practice when they come up and stay. It's also used a great deal by the PVA when they're there. They have cornhole tournaments there and whatever they need. And so we just would like some funding to make that a more usable site. I guess I'd be open for questions.
Right, members, any questions? Senator Westrom.
Mr. Chair, just a little bit more about your organization and your emphasis to veterans. Is it all veterans, or it looks like it's primarily veterans? And what kind of usage would you estimate over the summer and throughout the year?
The facility is owned by the Forest Service. We simply lease the grounds and the buildings. It was 2 old resorts, which in 1982, a group of visionary people decided they'd like to create a facility that did take down the barriers for people who did have disabilities. Our last year in 2024, our accommodated 2,800 plus people. 85% of those were veterans or their families. And those were retired, active military. And we use that criteria that the Forest Service asked us on our annual report to figure out how many people, how many veterans we serve. The veterans do include their families and their caregivers. And so it's not entirely veterans. We're open to the general public also. As I mentioned before, we entertain the Minnesota Wild Spinal Bifida kids. They come up for a week. They learn outdoor skills. They practice together. There's a ice rink about 15 miles away that they practice on the ice, but they also practice on that tennis court and improve their skills. That answer your question, Senator?
It does. Thank you. Just a quick follow-up, Mr. Chair. Just appreciate your passion and the emphasis, and just it's a very economical proposal. It seems like you're getting a lot of barriers and a lot of enhanced use opportunity for persons with a disability, and it's nice for them to be able to use this. And then, as more and more people see ways to remove barriers, I believe it's only going to enhance other places and make it easier for other places to think about building them originally or retrofitting, so the barriers aren't there and people in a wheelchair, as you said, can clean their own fish. which can be not a desirable thing that people like to do when they're fishing, but a lot of people won't go fishing if it's impossible to clean their own fish, and so you kind of complete the whole circle here. So I appreciate your project and your passion, and very low cost, it seems like, for what you're all doing. And just quick response. Remind me about where you guys are located, the Forest Service. So I'm guessing it's northern Minnesota, but I don't remember offhand.
We're in the Superior National Forest. We're located on Fall Lake, which is about 6 miles to the east of Ely, near the town of Winton. And we're on Fall Lake, and the far east end of Fall Lake is in the boundary waters. We're the only resort on the lake, and we've worked with the Forest Service that we are allowed to bring a pontoon boat into the boundary waters. And most of our pontoon boats, we've taken all the seats out, created basically a flat floor. And this allows somebody in a wheelchair or a power wheelchair, we can get them in the boat with a Hoyer lift, and they can bring their families right into the boundary waters. We've got some boats that are modified where a wheelchair can go right underneath the console and they can operate the boat.
Very good. Thank you, sir. Appreciate your project.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or remark for this project? Okay, well, Mr. Marinan, thank you for your presentation and best of luck.
All right.
Request.
Thank you. Thank you, board.
Okay. So next on our agenda is proposal ID 584. Evaluation line is 125. This is expanding community boat building and outdoor experience. So if presenter are ready, do turn on your camera and audio as well, and state your name for the record.
Yes, good morning. My name is Mark Hosmer, and I serve as the Executive Director of Urban Boat Builders. And just want to say thank you so much for the opportunity to be here and to be under consideration for this support. So just a little bit about Urban Boat Builders. We engage youth through hands-on building projects, whether that's boats like the ones you see behind me, longboard, skateboards, or paddles, things like that. And we utilize that hands-on building process as a way to facilitate skill development for young people, social emotional skills, technical woodworking skills, and career and future readiness skills as well. And we do that through 2 programs, but the one that we're here today talking about is our partnership program. So through that program, we go out to schools, summer camps, community organizations, primarily around the Twin Cities metro area. And we actually bring in the instructors and the tools and all the materials that are needed in order for a group of young people to create a project. And that can be anywhere from 32 to 120 hours of time that they're working on that project. And the whole idea is just to give them an opportunity to learn through a different hands-on medium than they might otherwise get to experience. And so one of the sort of highlights and the focus of what we're talking about today is the opportunity to, once those projects are complete, to get those young people out into the environment. And so whether that is a boat launch or a ride through local parks on their longboard, we are working to engage these young people and introduce them or connect them with the natural areas that are in the community around them. And so the partnership program is a fee-for-service program, and so schools and organizations will pay for us to come in and run that, and we do offer a sliding scale fee. Unfortunately, even with that sliding scale fee, there are a number of partners that just don't have the resources to be able to bring Urban Boat Builders to the young people that they serve. And so the focus of this proposal is to create an opportunity to subsidize some of those programs so that more young people can engage in both the hands-on aspect as well as the outdoor environmental connection aspect of our programming. And so through this program, over 2 years, the goal would be to engage 1,000 young people in 32,000 hours plus of engagement time or classroom time, and to also get them out into the world, into nature. And so what we're really focused on is just making sure that all young people have this opportunity, that we're able to work with, especially those organizations or schools that have more limited resources, and create an opportunity for their folks to be able to benefit from our programming. So that's kind of the general information, and just really appreciate the opportunity to be here and to share a little bit about our proposal, and would invite any questions that people have.
Any question from members? Now, I have questions, Mr. Holzmer. What material do you use for your boat? Is it for especially those behind you?
Yep. So the boats behind me it's a skin on frame. So it's a wooden frame, which is made out of ash, pine, and cherry wood primarily. And then it's covered with a ballistic nylon, so a heavy duty nylon fabric that is then coated with a 2-part urethane. So the building technique dates back tens of thousands of years to actual skin and other wood and bone material, but our current materials that we use are a little bit more modern.
In relation to that, how happy are they, and would they endure, boundary water trip?
They do. I was actually up there over a long Memorial Day weekend in one of these boats. And so they are, the 17.5-foot canoes come in at right about 40 pounds. So they are very lightweight. And yes, they're incredibly durable. They are, we've send young people up into the boundary waters. We have other folks who take these boats to the boundary waters, and we ultimately sell the boats, and people take them all over Minnesota and actually all over the continent, and they hold up just great.
Thank you. I see Senator Westrom has a question. Senator? Let's see if I can...
Mr. Chair?
Go ahead, Senator Westrom.
I didn't know if you called on me or not.
I did. Go ahead with your question.
Mr. Chair, just curious, how did you get started in this as an organization? And I guess just a quick comment. This one is one of those projects that really I think is catchy, unique, intrigues me with how what you're doing, and I guess ultimately I see this as a real positive use of funds to affect a lot of students and people's lives and ability to get out and learn a skill that they might never have a chance to do otherwise, but it really hits a lot of checks a lot of boxes. And so I'm just curious, how did you guys get started in this? But thanks for bringing the proposal forward.
Absolutely. Thank you for that question. This is our 30th anniversary as an organization. So we were started in 1995, and it was essentially some wooden boat builders, some community organizers and leaders, and some educators that found out about a similar organization based out of Alexandria, Virginia, just outside of DC, and thought, hey, that's a great idea. And so they came together and formed this organization, and over the years, the partnership model that we're proposing, or that's in this proposal, is the original model of what we're doing, is just engaging with schools and community organizations around the Twin Cities. And over that time, we've done these skin on frames like you see behind me, and lots of other construction styles. And I've also had a focus on culturally specific boat building. So I've built birch bark canoes and dragon boats and other things that are able to both connect people to nature and the environment, but also to their culture and their heritage.
Thank you.
Any question from members? So we still have 2 minutes. I'm just curious what Mr. Holzmer, is your office used to be down in Lowell Town by chance?
No, that was just a different boat building company.
Okay.
Yep, we were originally in the Midway, right, kind of by where the Loons Stadium is, and now we're just down University a little bit further west from there.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you all.
Okay, next on our agenda is proposal ID 1112. Evaluation line is 126. This is the pollinator education for Minnesota diverse cultural community. And if the presenter is ready, turn on your camera and audio and state your name for the record.
Okay, good morning, Mr. Chair and members of Commission. My name is Yizhu Lu from EcoAlpha. Today, I'm here to talk about our proposal of pollinator conservation education for Minnesota's diverse culture communities. Pollinators such as bees, butterflies are essential for maintaining healthy ecosystem, agriculture, food safety. Unfortunately, the population are declining with a very dangerous trend due to the habitat loss and the pesticide overuse and other reasons. Our recent survey at More America revealed the critical knowledge gaps in Minnesota's about the pollinator conservation. These findings align with several public online references. For example, even though most people recognize bees, butterflies, but many do not know that birds, bats, flies, and beetles are also important pollinators. And a lot of participants didn't know about the threat to the pollinator health and don't know how to help with it. And these gaps are particularly evident in underserved multicultural communities, which often have limited access to conservation resources due to culture and language reasons. So EcoAlpha proposed to address this by offering multilingual pollinator education at 5 major Minnesota fairs and festivals such as Asian Fair, Hmong New Year, the Festival of Nations. At these events, we will host interactive booths featuring hands-on activities, multilingual educational materials, and culturally relevant storytelling activities. This approach will ensure that everyone, regardless their cultural background, can learn about and also contribute to pollinator conservation. Also, we will create a multilingual pollinator conservation website to provide ongoing access to pollinator educational materials and interactive resources to these communities. So through our effort, at least 1,000 Minnesotans with different cultural background will gain a deeper understanding of pollinators and know their importance and their current situation and possible solutions. We expect many of them will adopt sustainable practices such as starting pollinator-friendly gardens, help to protecting bee habitat, and reduce pesticide use. All these will directly benefiting local ecosystem. Our multilingual pollinator conservation website will provide ongoing information access to the public, and it will reach more people. Additionally, our project will ensure that diverse communities become active partners in conservation efforts. So yeah, about the financial capability, we understand that LCCMR is a reimbursed-based funding resource. We have strong financial management experiences and skills. Last year, in past, we successfully carried out 17 environmental-friendly activities. And also, if there's a need, I personally have $60,000 ready as a loan to EcoAlpha to make sure we can carry out this specific project before reimbursement. So finally, I greatly appreciate the opportunity to present this proposal with your support, and we can empower diverse communities across Minnesota to protect pollinators and preserve our nature together. Thank you.
Thank you. Any question from members? Mr. Liu, can you tell us a little bit about your organization, Eco Alpha? How long has it been around?
Okay. The Eco Alpha has started to organizing events starting last June. It was started by a group of young people, 6th grade and now 7th grade. And they are starting with a volunteer together, and then eventually start to organizing events. And we have started summer events like promoting the bee and the pollinator conservation at Mall America on the Chinese New Year festival at the Mall America. So we also have some educational events at a Peony Festival at the park. So yeah, so even though it's funded by a group of young people, we have adult members, and I'm the president, and we have 6 board members, and to help them and to make sure everything is going in the right direction. And at the meantime, to still provide them with a leadership opportunity with environment activities, and so they can get a much deeper understanding, and because they already get involved into it. So in the future, they are more potentially to be leaders of these similar activities.
Thank you very much, Mr. Liu, for your project goal here. I think it's very, very good that you work on educating our multicultural and diverse community here in Minnesota. So best of luck on that. And
thank you, Chair,
right,
Mr. Chair.
So thank you. This concludes our presentation for today. Thank you, all members, commissioners, for hanging on here for several hours, but we actually finished way ahead of time by, I would say, 45 minutes at least. So there's no public testimony. I think earlier Director Nash already said that there's no public testimony lined up, but if there any member of the public that want to send your testimony, you can still do so before 4 p.m. today by sending to our email. You can look online. It's diane.griffin at lccmr.mn.gov. So that is it for today business. Yes, let's see, Commissioner Moore.
Thank you, Chair Her. I just wanted to thank the 3 chairs of these meetings this week and the LCCMR executive staff for doing such an excellent job and such an efficient job. And please send our regards, those of us who are not at the Capitol, to your colleagues about the reason that you're there today. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your concern and also your condolence and sympathy for our situation. We'll hope to get back on our feet and make our society much better in the long run. We can only hope. Director Nash, anything to update? And then I want to see if there are any hands from members on other business or any question to Director Nash before we adjourn.
Mr. Chair and members, just a reminder that evaluations are due by 4:30 p.m. on Wednesday, July 9th. and getting your submission to us by that time helps ensure that we have time to turn the results back around to you before the July 18th meeting. And of course, those results will be used at the July 18th meeting for making final selection and funding decisions. And if you need any help or have questions as you're working through your evaluations, please don't hesitate to reach out to staff. Also, just a reminder about your expense reimbursement. We need those by June 30th before the fiscal year end. And then now that we have successfully concluded presentations, we will go ahead and cancel those meetings that are on your calendar for next week, Monday and Tuesday. So we also will be thinking about members today, this afternoon. And we hope that you also have a nice holiday next week, and we will see you on the 18th.
Sounds good. Any other questions to myself or Director Nash? And overall, I think we heard a great presentation today. These are smaller projects, and I don't want to change your mind, but I think all of them are deserving at 100% because it's very small budgets from 25,000 to 100,000. So, you know, I like to encourage your support. If you can max it out on their request, it will be good. So thank you very much. And so this will conclude our LCCMR meeting for today and of our last day, final day. So meetings adjourned.